It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're doing something a little bit more current when it comes down to topics today, because we have Chaos Shuffle and a forum post discussing more complaints from a member of the survivor community in the DVD forums. And as you can imagine, these are always extremely hilarious. And as you can imagine, we have yet again another example of a really horrendous take that can easily be folded like a tissue in the wind. So let's read the title here. It says Chaos Shuffle equals tunneling chaos. And the post says, I played 10 games, and in every game, every killer just tryhard ultra tunneling beasts, and survivors without perks can do nothing against it. What about to give survivors DS in this mode? Now, as you can imagine, anybody who has played this game for more than 30 seconds will understand that, number one, that's the whole point of Chaos Shuffle, is that you can't pick your perks. It's literally says it in the description. But two, have we forgotten that, oh, I don't know, that there's at least half the roster that are not Blight and Nurse, that are not Dracula, that are not like strong killers. So if you are deciding to be like me, you know, torturing essentially myself to basically play Ghostface and Chaos Shuffle, you are pretty much in a situation where you need to utilize some form of strategy in order to win a match. Otherwise, you're just going to end up on a losing streak, and who wants to do that? So of course, people are going to utilize strategy to get a win, even if it is a casual, quote-unquote casual mode. And this also touches on the fact that I've always had an issue with Chaos Shuffle, because of the perk selection that just killers even have. I think that a lot of killer perks just do not have a lot of impact, especially on their own. And I do think that, unfortunately, when it comes down to putting killer builds together, it usually requires like 2 or 3 perks to just do the one thing. So, you know, comparatively to other perks that you may see on Survivor that can do at least 2 or 3 different effects on the same perk, versus killer perks that can say only do the one thing on the one perk. So, you know, it kind of goes, but like I've said many a time, it kind of goes without saying why this is the case, but it's still somehow confusing to people. So right off the bat, I love this comment. He goes, LOL, bruh, killers are nerfed enough. Yes, thank you for saying that. You know what I mean? I mean, the evidence is all there. Like, you can go over the patch notes. You already see as many times as the killers have received just constant punches to the stomach, like every time they want to actually play the game. PTBs that are basically offering free options for Survivor players with no downsides to any of the exploits they can pull off, no downsides to anything at all. It's only to the killers, however. And then the next PTB, of course, they then gut those benefits even further by making it so you get Bloodlust, because somehow Bloodlust is going to make up for the fact that you can't, you literally are trying to remove an entire strategy from the game. And crazy. I don't get it, but that's just what behavior thinks is right. So I don't know what else to say. This person says, but isn't this everyone's favorite game mode? No complaining now. Exactly. I've always personally disliked this game mode out of all of them. I think this has been my least favorite game mode ever. Like, I think that we need to bring Lights Out back. Like, we need to bring back other modes that aren't this like trash. Like, there's really nothing interesting about it. I argue that it's more enjoyable on Survivor because all of those perks have unique effects that can do interesting things, especially combined with other perks. But on Killer, it seems like you'll just get random perks that do random BS, and they do nothing essentially together, and it's just really stupid. And then sometimes you get lucky and then you get maybe like Brutal and like Nowhere to Hide, and like, okay, this is kind of got some synergy going, but that's about it. Then you'll get like what, Shattered Hope for some reason when there's no totems on the map, so you just have an empty perk slot, and then you have the other perk being like what I don't know. languid or something. You're like, okay, like, what is that gonna do for me? Like, it's just terrible. And then this person says, do you know if all add-ons can be obtained as killer, even the meme ones that are terrible? Because I only read somewhere that Trapper can get padded jaws, but I don't know about the other add-ons. Yeah. So just to confirm, I actually did end up getting the counterweight on Billy when I was playing. So yes, you can indeed get the meme add-ons. You can get those. So that was definitely a fun time, as you can imagine. And I probably will post it at least at some point, just so that you guys can see it, because it, like, who didn't tune in for the stream, nightmarish to play that match, to be honest with you. But I still came out on top, and I'm glad able to do that. So they say it's the combo of random perks and random items is impossible to play against, apparently. Like, so you see, like, the condescending nature of a survivor main. They say apparently, as if it's like, as if they understand that it's somehow so easy, yet they never play the side. They have no experience with the side. They don't understand how strategy works, why strategies even occur. They don't understand a goddamn thing. But they sit there on their little high seat, the little booster seat, I should say. And you know, they cry and complain to mama behavior to give them more slop. And then of course, on top of that, they want to look down at the killer players, apparently, because they've seen one person play killer, I guess, on a Discord, like fucking VC or something 2 years ago. They think they know what the fuck killer's about. You don't. It's like, come on now. And then once again, another survivor main wants to tune in and say, oh yeah, cheaply tunnel. So let's say, for example, I said the alternative. If only behavior would give some kind of incentive or mechanic so survivors can't just cheaply gen rush at 5 gens. Oh wait. And what's funny is that a survivor main could hear that statement and go, that doesn't make any sense. We're just doing the objective. So how is it that if a killer is utilizing strategy in order to win their game and doing their job, which is to kill, how is that a problem, right? Because it's the equivalent. You can literally just flip the words around. It's the same exact thing. Because in both ways, it makes no sense. So this right here, I got great comment. He says, this is the difference between survivor and killer. As a horror game, what sounds more appropriate? Survivors struggle to survive and escape while hunted by a lethal killer, or a lethal killer struggles to kill before survivors escape. Survivor should be harder, killer should be easier. Anyone picking survivor role should understand this and accept this role for what it is. The problem is that behavior doesn't care about that, and the survivors are crying with their little bibs and you know, full diapers because they just can't have, you know, basically killers walking around with pillows over their weapons and shit like that, and in La La Land, you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. Now, keep in mind that I'm not saying all survivors. There are plenty of skilled survivor players. There are plenty of fantastic survivor creators, fantastic survivor playing people. So I'm specifically referring to these kinds of entitled clowns that think that they know a thing or two about the side that they never play. That doesn't make any sense. Look at this, look right here. This is something I want to show you guys, man, because it's wild. Like, look at the language that they use. They victimize themselves. They victimize each other. Defenseless. Stable. Right? Let me say it again. Defenseless. Stable. Right? She was merely existing. Let me say it again. Defenseless, stable, merely existing. They minimize and infantilize like people that play the survivor side. But you know what? That's what makes sense, because the changes that they offer are to baby those people, right? That's what they do. That's what behavior wants. They want it to be even more brain dead easy every time. And I think it's insulting to survivor players. I think they should be more offended, because why is it that they're trying to make the game even easier for them? Like, doesn't it imply that that they're so horrendous that literally the devs have to step in and go, here's this additional mechanic so you can stop crying and complaining? That should be worth something. Because the fact of the matter is that there are skilled survivors out there, but the game is so dumbed down that they don't necessarily need to be able to perform at that level to get the same results. And that's my issue with the game as a whole, I would say, is the fact that you're not like incentivized to improve on that side when you can perform exactly the same by doing way less work. That's ridiculous. So let's see. I think this is the same survivor main from before. They say, if only you didn't need 8, I don't even, pause and plus hours just to get the basics memorized because of the many maps, tiles, layouts, perks, add-ons, and killer powers there is. I like, you know, it's crazy how they gas it up and make it seem like it's the most difficult thing in the world. You realize that maps have different tiles that usually are consistent across every map. When you see one TNL, you've seen them all. It's not really that complicated. They're really pretending as if it's like this encyclopedic knowledge. Like there's guides out there that cover this stuff. Are there unique places to find these things? Of course. Does it take time to learn? Of course. But the fact of the matter is that we can't just gas it and pretend like, oh god, it's so blindingly easy to play killer. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Like, what are we talking about? They love claiming it's autopilot, yet palette density was literally Shift W spacebar, Shift W spacebar, Shift W spacebar. But they're trying to say that killer's autopilot. Like, it's really, you got to see that it's just mind-boggling that they can say one thing, but then you literally have gameplay footage of people just running and doing exactly like I just stated. And that's not autopilot? Like, shouldn't that be like the same thing? Shouldn't that be a sign that like maybe the game is not heading in the right direction? That the devs truly believe you're that bad at the game that you need this much help? Like, honestly, that should really be a red flag. And it's crazy to me. So they want to say compared to killer, but Kaneki exists. You see, like, that's another thing too. They don't know anything about Kaneki. They don't know anything about the killer. I've played Kaneki plenty of times recently. It is just, it's not like it's an auto win. Keep in mind that, let's also add on, if Kaneki was so mindless and brain dead easy, why is his kill rate below Blight? Why is his kill rate not at 60% like what behavior wants? He's at 50 last we checked on the Nightlight. So if somehow this killer is so crazy, why is it that his kill rate's not skyrocketing? Why is it that, oh, I don't know, he's not at 70% kill rate? Why is he not at 80 or even 90? But hey, what do we know, right? And then this person says they wanted to have easy games, yet they play the easiest side, so I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, let's keep moving. So this person says, basically the same in every game mode or event because most of the killer games, so they're just crying about, like I just said. Then of course they want to, like, this is another example of what I was saying before, where they like to fart in each other's faces and huff their own gas. So this is basically what it is right here, because they cry about, oh my god, they just want easy games, and he goes, yeah, they totally do, because they did it in the other events. Like, what are you talking about? And like, he wants us to pretend like he knows what he's talking about by putting parentheses and saying 1 and 2 twice in a row. Like, it's a whole bunch of, like, you know, pseudoscience bullshit. Like, it doesn't have any basis in reality. It's ridiculous. This person says stop rushing gens so killers don't have to. Killers can't run meta, you know, the thing that keeps the game somewhat balanced. So the killer actually has to do some off-target chases, which is very true. Chillax, bid on those gens, stop hiding, take chases, stop bringing in meta medkits so they can take away all pressure. Believe it or not, unless you're going against S tier, survivors actually had the advantage, so stop complaining. I agree with this person. Did he get banned, by the way? He got fucking banned, by the way. What the hell? Is it because he's right? Like, bro had the most taint. I can't say it was like this post that got him banned, but bro unironically got banned. Like, hello? Who's modding this? Like, hello? It says you don't need many hours to play Survivor to win, maybe, but that's the point. Survivors should struggle. The game is designed around survivors dying, where there could be maybe 1 to 2 to escape. The issue is that people expect to play Survivor with no experience at all, not struggle, and still be able to win versus a lethal killer. As far as S tier killers go, they may be an issue, but it's an issue caused by Swift. Right off the bat, all I'm hearing is facts, right? The reason that people bring the S tier killers is because of the fact that they want to equalize the playing field with Swift and overall just the gen speed. and the killers that can do that are high mobility. There really is no other like sort of comparison. If I sit there and I play Blight, I'm gonna get over across the map in maybe 10 seconds. I play Ghostface, I'm getting over there in 30. I'm shaving off 20 seconds. Why wouldn't I pick the option that makes me faster? Because they can get the 30% of the gen done versus 10%. I'm gonna pick the more beneficial choice so I can actually play the game. Instead, I'm getting a 4-minute and 30-second game because I'm moving at 115 with no speed. Just da-da-da, you know, walk down the street, and then boom, 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 3 gens done. You're like, okay, like, I can't get over there. Like, what are you supposed to do? Let's continue. There's a reason why S tier killers are more prominent in the top MMR. They're needed to counter the top Swift teams with SWAT team coordination and comms. Can have it both ways. Give Swift team comms and solo you don't have, and you have to have killers that can compete against them. The result is these killers can be OP versus solo queue that don't have the same coordination or comms. There'll never be true balance with solo queues denied what Swift has. Now that's the thing. They keep saying, I know they keep trying to say, let's make solo queue into Swift level, which is crazy. I'm like, nah, like, you gotta hold your horses. We have to add things to solo queue that isn't at the same exact level as Swift, because Swift is already overtuned. You don't want to have that. But if you want to, like, what I'm trying to get at is we need to find a path where it's like solo queue is better to play, but you're not also making it so it's exactly the same level of Swift where they are able to like call out every single stealth killer and then they don't have any power in the element of surprise. It's really hard. I know that, like, I mean, it's behavior. They're not going to do anything about it, but in theory, that would be the right path. Given a couple of examples, I'm not really going to spend too much time on diving into that part of the topic. I think that is a whole different topic for a whole different time, to be honest. That's what I think, at least. That's what I think. So let's go ahead and continue. It says, and the mode's already objectively survivor sided when you play as most of the killer roster, so I get why those specific killers tunnel. Killers with weak perks will always be worse than survivor with weak perks, which is what happens most games. And then notice, this is another example that I want to show you guys. This is something that you see a lot of. You see a lot of it in the forums, you see a lot of that with even in Reddit or whatever have you. They just go, no, wrong, no, and then it's like, but they never explain why. They just say you're wrong for no, just because you're not saying exactly what's in their pea brain. So the problem is, we literally have evidence to prove these things. We have data, evidence, behaviors, like, you know, giving out information, whatever they do. We have patch notes that prove all these things. They have blank space. Look at this shit. One single word. No, you're wrong. I disagree because blah, blah, blah. They don't ever say that. It's just, that's it. They just say, no, that's it. You can't argue with people like these. You can't. You can tell them every which way possible why this exists, how this works, how that works, why this happens, why that happens. And they'll just plug their ears and not hear you. They'll just sit there in their little echo chamber and huff each other's like freaking ass fumes, man. It's like, what do you think is gonna happen? You're gonna keep breeding this like toxicity in the community. It's all connected. I'm telling you. People's literally speaking absolute facts. I'm saying from personal experience. I'd played Springtrap and Ghostface, and I'm like, yo, what the hell are these perks? Like, none of these do anything for me. Playing these weak ass killers. Then you can, like, I picked up Blight, and I was like, yo, I can use any perk. I feel pretty good. I feel like I actually can get perk value. Or like, you know, it's like night and day. You're like, yo, what do you mean? It's a difference. So here we go, another survivor main. So they say people love to bring up the horror aspect of the game, but only when it would benefit the killer or defend the killer sided 60% kill rate. So as you can see, they love to say killer sided 60% kill rate. You're already escaping at 50% on average. Kill rates have been dropping. So what are we talking about? What? Like, it's killer sided for it to be literally 60%. Like, but you're escaping at even more than that. So what are we talking about? And what's even more ironic that I find is that literally Japan, like the Japan Swifts and solo queues, were escaping at 47%, close to 50, I believe. with solo queue and Swift. And then everywhere across the, like, I guess the rest of the world, 30%. It's a skill issue. But they go, oh, it benefit the killer. Like, it's a fucking horror game. Like, what? Like, it's a fucking horror game. What horror movie or horror license or whatever franchise has the killer getting bodied by like a random Joe Schmo wearing a tie and a dress shirt and glasses? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, random Joe Schmo loser. Like, that's crazy. Like, you don't ever see that unless it's the end of the movie where it's like, okay, we want to make a sequel, so boom. So let's take a look. So it says, because there's absolutely horror trope where the survivor is just the final girl kill the killer at the end. Several of the killers in this game that had that ending. Xeno. What do you mean ghosty? This is why I know that people that play this game are not horror fans, because what do you mean ghosty? They don't know what the hell they're talking about. That be pissing me off, bro. Like, what are you talking about? This is not a fucking Scream license. Oh, but Ghostface, I saw the mask, and scream. Like, no, it's not. Like, Xeno, yeah, okay, fine. I give you that. Nemesis, same thing. I give you that. That's fine. Everyone wants the Resident Evil rocket launcher, but canonically would give it to Leon. At some point, the video game aspect overrides its horror part. Okay, but that's at the end of the game. Are we forgetting that part? At the end of the game. The game, like the end of the game, like as in you final fight, like last stand. We're gonna see who wins. Not all 4 people come outside. Oh yeah, we won. Like, that's not how it works. It's one person, like Jill, at the end of the game, fighting this gigantic nemesis, like this blob, like trying to kill her. Like, what? Like, what? Like, these people don't play the goddamn games. They don't know anything about horror. They don't know anything about the genre. They don't know anything about this shit, and they want to stand on this soapbox thinking they know what they're talking about. Like, bro, like I'm tired of it, man. It's just so stupid. They didn't take out the meme add-ons from Billy, and I don't think they took it from where the heck is Leatherface? Let's see. So they say it's a bad argument for a PvP game. You can go in circles about it forever too. Who wants to see a horror movie where nobody fights back? Survivors can't really foil the killer or trick them beyond vaulting and shining a flashlight at them. More and more over time, DVD operates more like a slasher where no one survives, which is what they were basing the game around. So I don't know why these people have like this random, like this mentality where like we can't have what the game was intended to do. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And the fact that they have this mentality that they can't do this, they can't do that. I'm like, you clearly do not play the game at all. People hide. People can do that. They can use different fucking perks to have different like plays and sound effects and other kinds of shit to get them to bait them to do different things. Those things exist. It's like, what are we fucking talking about, bro? So yet again, another survivor main. Let's see what they say. They say, I love that anytime tunneling is brought up, everyone who defends it just says unrelated things like killers add-ons are bad or survivors should struggle. Incredible takes. So as we can see, they're just taking the takes out of context instead of actually quoting correctly to actually directly respond to it. So in other words, it seems like a bit of a straw man is being taken place here. They say regardless, tunneling requires zero effort, perks, add-ons, etc., which is completely untrue considering the mere fact that you can pursue someone and call it tunneling, but it requires, oh, I don't know, the effort of having to down you. If you're good at the goddamn game, you die, like you're not gonna really die that quickly. You're buying your teammates time. So I don't know, man. It just seems a little disingenuous. They say that it requires zero effort, but isn't the person being chased quite literally having to run away and try the best to, like, you know, work with what they have in front of them and all these kinds of things? And the killer has to directly counter with their own experience with their character, their own experience of the map, their own experience with pathing. Both sides are essentially going head to head and seeing who is going to be better at the game. But they like to frame it in this way like it's so impossible to counter. But why is it that people counter it every day? So that's what I just find really odd to me. Like, I just don't understand that. Chaos Shuffle just makes it stronger. You're taking everything away that can be brought in to defend it. I mean, that's a skill issue for the most part. Because notice, once again, we're getting another victim mentality. You're taking away everything. Like, no, they aren't. It's on both ends. Killers can't even bring slowdown to even get any bonuses. To even maybe try not utilizing strategy. Maybe. We're getting, like, you get perks that just don't synergize or you get Shattered Hope for some reason, which does absolutely nothing if no one has a totem. So, what do you mean? And then a little disingenuous, not taking away from the killer. What do you mean they're not taking away from the killer? The killers have no perk selection. Survivors have item selection. You can choose to have a medkit, toolbox, map, key. What do you mean? That's completely disingenuous. They say it's a cheap mode that gives killers easy wins. It's like, this is just disingenuous. And then look, like, they don't actually address the point. They say now you're just flip-flopping because it suits your narratives. You see what I mean? Never do you see these people that have these opinions ever have a response to anything that challenges their worldview. There never is. There never is. This person right here says it perfectly. The game is balanced around killers taking at least 1 to 2 gen defense. If you play a mode that doesn't let you do that, the killers need to do something to even the odds. That's just how it works. And look right there. Care to explain why? Or is this just no explanation because knowing DVD base, I'm objectively backed up? Exactly. Just saying. So I'm like, I don't get it. So this one doesn't make any sense either. They say that survivors are put at a severe disadvantage while tryhard killers just stomp regardless of their perks, which doesn't really make any sense. So I'm just saying. And then they start, and then the first thing the first thing you see is tunnel twice. Like, you can't listen to these people, man. These people that hold these opinions, man, they're just crying about their one match they got tunneled. Like, it really doesn't matter. They're super burnt out. They don't enjoy the game. I don't know why they continue to play it if they're not having a good time. They're not obligated to do so. They don't have any sort of incentive to continue. Like, they have nothing holding them to this sort of standard that they have to continue to play the game. They're just up there, like, they're just random players just playing in their free time. So why is it that they're continuing to play something that they don't enjoy? Like, I just don't think that makes sense. And then this person basically said something to the effect of, like, you know, nothing other players would do these, nothing other players would do will change these people. It's a game that needs to change. It's not the game at all that needs to change. It's you need to change. You need to start understanding that that's how the game functions. Like, yeah, like, I don't know how else to explain it, honestly. Like, it's kind of ridiculous because they keep on crying about the same things, but it's like they magically forget how their brains work and magically forget how the game works. And it's like, it's really strange. I don't know if they're being deliberately disingenuous. I don't know, like, I don't know if they're just, like, genuinely ignorant. But, like, either way, like, like, it's been explained in so many different ways with so many different people explaining it, and for some reason it just doesn't get through their heads. I don't know how else to respond to that. So this is once again another survivor main making up some stuff. They said, why are people acting like killers are weak when they're not? So mind you, they don't play killer, but they say, like, good players can win almost every single match playing killer. So doesn't that mean that, here's two things that come out. One, they don't play killer, so they wouldn't know for sure. Two, doesn't that mean that the survivors therefore have a skill problem? Because if it's possible that a good player supposedly could win like every single game, no matter what killer it is, doesn't mean that those killers, I mean, those survivors are just all usually pretty bad, and therefore meaning that there's another thing that they love to deny, MMR exists. Just saying. Just saying. So I don't know. This person says, which is a good point. He also said that if kill rates drop, won't be killers left to play the game. Look at how long it took Behavior to get the balance they wanted, nearly a decade. Look at how long it takes them to balance one killer like Skull Merchant. You think they can balance all killers according before people quit? Not likely. It's a good job you're not hitting the behavior dev team. That's all I can say. You would kill the game in 24 hours. It's very true. It's very true. Because if you have people like this that are so brain rotted that they keep saying that quote unquote horribly inflated by tunneling. Notice that the language, I'm telling you, like when you really take the time out to analyze some of the stuff that they're saying, you start to see certain consistencies. You start to see certain things that are you know, connecting in a lot of ways. And it's like this, and I'm telling you, I think it's because, like I've said earlier, they just be huffing and puffing to each other's farts and shit, thinking that like this is the truth and this is facts. Like this diluted sense of reality. And it's like, I don't understand where it comes from. I really think it needs to be studied. And I think that's why we're in the trenches here, kind of looking at these forum posts. As hilarious as it is to see the brain rot, there is some kind of level of like psychology within it that it's like, how do we get to this point that you're so mentally far gone that you can't even see reality? You can't even like take into account why anything happens. You just are so stuck in your mindset that you cannot see anything else. It's kind of insane, right? Because you can explain every which way of why strategies happen, what it's for, why we do it, this and the third, and they'll still find some BS excuse. And then once you bring up other points, they still can't handle it. They can't take it. And that's what we see, obviously, with even other responses we've seen in the past. They just say wrong or no, or no, that's not true. And then they don't ever explain. They just say no, that's it. One word response. They move on with their lives. And it's like, but yet as a killer player, you can have a stack of evidence and they'll just close their eyes and plug their ears. You can't argue with those kinds of people, man. It's no point. You know, I think that the game is way too far gone. I think the community is way too far gone. I think there's no way around it. There's really no way around it. I think it's cooked. But let me know your guys' thoughts, of course, in the comment section. Consider supporting the channel by becoming a member on the YouTube or Patreon, or even subbing on Twitch. Have your name right off at the end of every video. I will see you guys in the next one. All right, let's go ahead and read off our members from Patreon. Pro King 101, YouTube members: Cargan Falcon, Evil Blade, Cap Courteous, WTF You're Not J-Lo, Evil Peach, Cozy Bozy, Theo Endire, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Jack, Christian, and Crovator. And for the Twitch, we have Final Girl Bunny, Leona Art, Zazabu, Evil Blade, Danica, Crovator, Cake is a Road, Zeneron, Ginsburg, Mr. Morick, Kevin, Zero Mocker, Ashai Boo, and Gryffindor. Appreciate you guys supporting. Really means a lot. If you want to become a member, you can go ahead and join through Patreon or YouTube members, or even sub on Twitch. See you guys in the next one.